The year was 1957, a defining moment in American automotive history. The world was changing fast, and so was the face of the pickup truck. Ford, already a household name in reliability and strength, introduced a new generation of its F-Series trucks that would forever change the landscape of working vehicles. The 1957 Ford F-Series wasn't just another truck, it represented a shift from a purely utilitarian workhorse into something more refined, more stylish, and more personal. This was the year when Ford's trucks began to look less like farm equipment and more like family companions, ready for hard work, yet comfortable enough for a weekend drive. To understand the 1957 Ford F-Series, we need to go back a little. The first generation of Ford trucks, launched in 1948, had already made its mark with durability and simplicity. The second generation, introduced in 1953, brought smoother lines and more comfort features. But by the mid-1950s, America wanted more chrome, more power, and more presence. Ford listened, and in 1957, it delivered a truck that looked like nothing before it. This model introduced an entirely new body design, lower, wider, and far more modern than any previous pickup. It was the first Ford truck to feature integrated front fenders and a sleek, slab-sided body. Gone were the separate fenders and boxy shapes of earlier models. This was the dawn of a new era. The design reflected the optimism of the late 1950s. The truck's bold front grille stretched across the entire face, with dual headlights giving it a commanding stance. The hood was flatter, the lines cleaner, and the proportions more balanced. The bed sat lower, making loading easier, and for the first time, the bed sides were flush with the cab, giving the entire vehicle a unified, streamlined appearance. It was a revolution in truck design. Inside, the 1957 F-Series also took major steps forward. Ford knew that drivers were spending more time behind the wheel, not just on farms or job sites, but also on highways and in towns. The cabin became roomier and more comfortable, with improved seats, better insulation, and a redesigned dashboard. The instrument cluster was larger and easier to read. Chrome accents and two-tone color schemes gave the interior a car-like feel. It was no longer just a place to work, it was a place to enjoy the drive. Under the hood, the 1957 Ford F-Series offered several engine options. The base models came with Ford's reliable inline-six engines, known for their durability and torque. But for those who wanted more muscle, optional Y-block V8 engines were available, delivering impressive horsepower for the time. The top-tier V8 made the truck faster and more capable than ever before, transforming it from a simple work tool into a symbol of performance. Paired with manual or automatic transmissions, these trucks offered versatility for different needs, from heavy hauling to smooth cruising. Ford's engineers also improved the frame and suspension. The 1957 model rode on a stronger, stiffer chassis designed to handle greater loads and improve ride comfort. The new design allowed the truck to sit lower to the ground without sacrificing clearance. The result was a smoother, more stable drive, especially on the paved roads that were rapidly spreading across the United States during the decade. For the first time, Ford's F-Series truly bridged the gap between a work vehicle and a family automobile. One of the key innovations in 1957 was the introduction of the style-side bed. Previously, Ford trucks featured the flare-side design, with wheel arches protruding outside the bed and the cargo area sitting between them. The new style-side design integrated the fenders into the sides of the bed, creating a wider, more usable load area and a cleaner, more modern look. This change would define the future of pickup trucks for decades to come. Today, almost every modern truck follows that same basic design philosophy, and it all began here, in 1957. Ford offered several models that year, including the F-100, F-250, and F-350, each catering to different levels of payload and performance. The F-100 was the most popular, designed for light-duty use and everyday driving. The F-250 handled heavier loads, while the F-350 was built for serious work. No matter the configuration, each truck carried the same proud design and engineering DNA that made the 1957 lineup iconic. But beyond the technical and design elements, the 1957 Ford F-Series carried something deeper, a sense of identity. For many Americans, owning a Ford truck was more than a practical choice, it was a statement of values. It meant reliability, hard work, and pride. In the post-war years, America was expanding, suburbs were growing, highways were stretching across states, and industries were booming. trucks like the F-Series became symbols of progress and self-reliance. They were driven by farmers, construction workers, small business owners, and families who needed a dependable vehicle to carry them through their busy lives. Ford's slogan, "Built Ford Tough," wasn't yet official in 1957, but the spirit was already alive. Another thing that made the 1957 F-Series special was its timeless appeal. Decades later, collectors and restorers still seek these trucks for their beauty and craftsmanship. Restored 1957 Ford F-100s often steal the show at vintage car events. Their wide grilles, bold badges, and clean lines represent an era when design was both functional and artistic. Many enthusiasts modify them with modern engines and suspension systems, blending classic style with contemporary performance. Yet even in stock form, these trucks have an undeniable charm that continues to capture hearts. The 1957 model year also marked the beginning of Ford's third generation of F-Series trucks, which lasted until 1960. Each year brought refinements, but the 57 stood out as the boldest step forward, the model that set the tone. Ford's competition, especially Chevrolet and Dodge, took notice. The styling and comfort of Ford's trucks forced the entire industry to evolve. Soon, every manufacturer was blending utility with style, following the path that Ford had pioneered. Driving a 1957 F-100 today is like stepping back in time. The growl of the V8, the feel of the large steering wheel, and the simplicity of the controls remind us of a different era, one where vehicles were built to last, and every part had a mechanical honesty. There were no computers or touchscreens, just pure engineering. The solid metal doors closed with a satisfying thud, and the smell of aged vinyl and oil told stories of decades past. Yet even today, a well-maintained F-Series from 1957 can cruise down the highway with surprising smoothness, proof of Ford's forward-thinking design. Culturally, the 57 F-Series holds a special place. It appeared in movies, television, and advertisements that celebrated American life. In small towns and big cities alike, the truck became a familiar sight, parked outside diners, farms, and gas stations. It was more than a vehicle, it was part of the American landscape. And because of its rugged build, many of these trucks survived long after others rusted away, becoming beloved classics in barns and garages across the country. From a collector's point of view, the 1957 Ford F-Series represents an ideal blend of vintage style and mechanical simplicity. Parts availability, community support, and restoration knowledge are abundant. Many restoration shops specialize in this model, offering everything from original spec rebuilds to custom restomods. Some enthusiasts choose to keep the truck's patina, preserving the marks of its working life as a badge of honor. Others transform them into gleaming showpieces with chrome accents and polished wood beds. Either way, the 1957 F-Series continues to live on, not as a relic, but as a living symbol of American craftsmanship. Looking back, it's clear that the 1957 Ford F-Series was more than just a new model year, it was a turning point. It laid the foundation for the trucks we know today, vehicles that balance toughness with comfort and power with beauty. The DNA of that 1957 design still runs through modern F-Series trucks. Every time a new F-150 rolls off the assembly line, there's a trace of that same innovation and spirit from nearly 7 decades ago. So when you see a 1957 Ford F-100 cruising down the road, remember, it's not just an old truck. It's a piece of history. It represents an era of optimism, craftsmanship, and change. It's a reminder of how America once built things not only to work hard but to look beautiful doing it. The 1957 Ford F-Series stands as a timeless icon, strong, stylish, and proud, just like the people who built and drove it. And after all these years, its message still rings true: when something is made with care, integrity, and vision, it never really goes out of style.